Welcome to the White Spring Bunker.
These halls were built to safeguard some of the most prestigious members of the United States government.
Now we are all that remains, though we are always looking for men and women capable of restoring what has been lost.
In return, we offer this, our refuge from the world above. Please, take your time and look around. Our assets have made great efforts to restore this place to its former glory.
Welcome, member, to our little enclave.
Sophia looked out at the western horizon with tears in her eyes. Multiple columns of smoke rose into the sky above what had been Vault Town. They were too far away to see what was going on, but she had to assume the worst. To the south, there was a single large column of black and gray smoke, and that was the one she dared not look at, knowing what it represented.
Oh, my beloved.
The White Spring was gone, as was her husband. Knowing he sacrificed himself so the rest of them had a chance to live didn't make it any easier, but she would do whatever it took to make sure he didn't die in vain.
Whatever it takes.
Glancing back into the cargo bay, Sophia took stock of her passengers.
Are you still okay back there?
Right as fucking rain. Sorry, Sophia. That was...
I understand, Shadow. How are the others?
I had to sedate the captain, but he'll live. Now, if we had an electronic muzzle around here for Weasel...
That's not very nice, Meatloaf Man.
Any word from the Colonel?
I tried, but no response. She's probably too far underground to get a signal through.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Sophia desperately wanted to believe it, because it had to be. When Shadow and Weasel had emerged from the ventilation shaft, she had hoped the others would be following, but when she saw the big man's face, she knew the truth. As Shadow had been loading Weasel into the vertibird, he had given Sophia the quick and dirty on what had happened in the silo, and that even if the Colonel had wanted to leave, the locked doors would have made that impossible. It meant they were on their own, and Sophia had orders to follow. The quick conversation had been interrupted by a call from Captain Thomas. He had managed to limp his way back up to the hill to their original landing zone. Once Weasel and Shadow were settled on board, Sophia had fired up the engines, hoping beyond hope that someone else, anyone else, would make it out.
I guess that means I'm in charge now.
They had left, stopping only to pick up the captain, where Shadow dragged him into the vertibird and did his best impression of a medic. With everyone on board, Sophia had flown down the mountain, and they had gotten their first real look at Vault Town. The fires and smoke had obscured almost everything. Not wanting to draw too much attention to themselves, Sophia had turned south. Though it hadn't been part of the plan, Sophia was going to check on Vault Town to see if there were any survivors. It was the least she could do.
Shadow, we're approaching Morgantown. Keep an eye out. If you see anyone at all, you let me know.
Are you crazy? Those things could still be there. Or worse.
That's an order. We are not leaving anyone behind. Not anymore. Not on my watch.
Yes, ma'am.
Doom had finally come to Vault Town. Crushed beneath the feet of the army of Onai, almost nothing remained of what had been the hope for a new Appalachia. From the rubble of Morgantown to the remains of the old train station, fires still burned, and columns of smoke rose into the air, while the bodies of those who gave their lives in the vain defense of the settlement lay scattered amongst pools of blood. As the last of the creatures disappeared over the hills to the west, something stirred in the rubble.
Ow, my head. Clyde, is that you?
Jameson pulled himself out from under the mound of bricks which had collapsed on top of him. His head ached, and he might have a broken arm, but he was alive. Clyde, himself covered with dust and nursing a hurt paw, limped up to the corporal and started licking his face.
Oh, thank God you're okay. Looks like we've both seen better days, though.
Slowly rising to his feet, Jameson brushed the dust from his eyes and was witness to the devastation around him. What was left of Vault Town was nearly unrecognizable, and it appeared he was alone.
Hey! Hey there! Anyone alive?
Jameson's voice echoed across the ruined landscape, but there was no response.
Just what am I supposed to do now? Clyde, what do you got there, boy?
The dog was digging into another pile of bricks and whimpering.
Clyde, what do you got there, boy? You find something? Is it... Oh, shit. Meg!
Jameson caught sight of Meg's signature coat, then a hand covered in blood. He ran over and started moving bricks with his good hand until he had uncovered enough of the raider boss to pull her from the rubble. But she wasn't moving.
Meg! Meg! Oh God, please be okay. Meg, come on, wake up.
The raider boss was a bloody mess. It looked like she had taken the brunt of the impact, which had destroyed the old terminal, and had been buried when the wall fell on her, doing even more damage.
Meg?
The one and only.
You hurt real bad. I don't know.
Comes with the territory, kid. Leoni?
They're gone. Looks like they all went west. Oh, shit.
It ain't over. Till it's over. You ain't no diehard. But you got guts, kid. I still got family. Out there. Gail. Rah-rah. Damn. If Weasel hadn't taken a shine to you. But suppose she's gone now. Sorry.
Don't talk, Meg. You'll be okay.
You're a bad liar, kid. I did my best. No regrets. You see Shin. Tell that tin head will always be pickle.
Meg? Meg? Don't go.
The light had gone out of Meg's eyes. Jameson wiped the tears from his face, holding her in his arms. Clyde nuzzled the raider's body before whimpering again and laying down next to the two of them.
What do I do now, boy?
The dog looked up at him with baleful eyes.
Yeah, I don't know either. Just wait, I guess. Wait, what's that?
Jameson laid down Meg's body and stood. He cast his eyes to the sky, trying to see in the darkening gloom.
Vertebrate. Holy hell almighty. I feel like fire. Crap, I need something.
Jameson ignored the pain in his arm and ran over to grab a burning piece of debris. Waving it above his head, he hoped he was signaling the good guys, not the bad guys. But if it wasn't the good guys, he was good as dead anyways.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Right, Clyde?
Jameson heard the aircraft, then finally saw it approaching from the east, flying low over the ruins. It made a slow circle of the old runway, the wash from its rotors raising up a cloud of dust and causing Jameson to drop the flaming piece of wood to shield his eyes. The vertebrate pivoted to vertical hover mode before landing a few dozen feet away from where the corporal was standing. Throwing caution to the wind, Jameson ran up to the aircraft, closely followed by a barking Clyde. The cargo bay slid open, and Jameson skidded to a stop, coming face to face with the muzzle of a plasma rifle.
Get down!
Jameson dropped to the ground, and Shadow's plasma rifle spit fire into the dark. He emptied the magazine, and then quickly reloaded.
Get your ass in here, Corporal! Now!
Confused, Jameson hesitated for barely a moment before reaching down and picking up Clyde. Gunfire erupted from the edge of the old runway, ricocheting off the vertebrate's armor and cracking the windshield. Shadow fired again and was rewarded with the telltale sound of impact against a fleshy target and a scream. Jameson jumped up into the cargo bay, grimacing as his broken arm slammed into the door.
Ah, fuck, that hurt.
Well, look what the cat dragged in.
Weasel?
Sophia, get us out of here!
Hold on, this could get rough.
Sophia applied maximum power to the engines as Shadow fired again, emptying another magazine before slamming the cargo bay door shut. More gunfire hit the vertibird, but the aircraft quickly lifted off the ground and started heading west, leaving the ruins behind them. Jameson finally got a good look around the cargo bay. Weasel was sitting down, her torso wrapped in bandages, as was her right arm. Towards the rear, Captain Thomas was also there, nursing wounds of his own. Shadow reloaded his plasma rifle, then turned to the corporal.
Goddamn packed! Were you alone?
Only found Meg, but Yeah, I was alone. Wait, who the hell was shooting at us?
Grays. We saw them when we passed over. Probably recon teams making sure everyone was dead.
Shadow, engine number 2 took a hit. Can you take a look?
Damn it. Alright, give me a second.
As the big man went to the side viewport, Jameson went up and hugged Weasel with his good arm.
Ow! Whoa there! Be careful with the merchandise.
I'm sorry, I didn't think I'd ever see you again.
Don't get all weepy on me. You'll short out the box. Shadow?
Looks like we're leaking some kind of fluid.
Damn. They hit the oil line, which means we're on a timer now. Hold on, folks. Next stop, Ohio.
Shadow wiped his brow before sitting down opposite of Jameson and Weasel.
Shadow, where's everyone else?
Dead. Or just about to be.
What happened?
Long story. And it's not over yet.
Jameson frowned. That definitely didn't sound good. Before he could say anything else, he felt Weasel's hand on his face, turning it towards her.
You know, Peaches, I've been thinking about things. Maybe a sock hop wouldn't be all that bad.
A sock hop? Really?
Ugh, how have you lived this long and stayed so fluffy? Just hurry up and kiss me, before I go looking for my Fat Man launcher.
Jameson leaned in and kissed the raider, ignoring the pain in his arm, who in turn ignored the pain in hers. Shadow just rolled his eyes and walked back to the front of the vertibird and climbed into the co-pilot's chair. He grabbed the headphones and put them on.
How bad is it?
It's not great. I can feather the engine for a while, but without repairs, not long. Can't say if we'll make it or not.
Then we better not waste any time then.
As the vertibird flew over the Appalachian landscape, something caught Sophia's eye.
Do you see that?
Where? Oh shit. Please tell me that isn't what I think it is.
The Onai. All of them.
Turning slightly south, Sophia got a better look at the horde they've just spotted. There were hundreds of the creatures, all moving in one giant mass, crushing the landscape underfoot and heading directly towards Point Pleasant.
They've seen us.
No kidding. Get us out of here.
Applying more power to the engines, but keeping a close watch on number 2, Sophia flew north, out of the range of anything the Onai might be carrying. When she looked back, she saw the behemoths mixed in with the rest, and they were all moving at a brisk pace.
They're moving fast. Really fast.
Too fast. Damn. Change of plans. Get someone, anyone on the radio, and let them know what's coming, and get us to Point Pleasant.
I'm ahead of you for once, Shadow. Hold on. This is Sophia Daguerre to anyone on this frequency. The Onai are coming fast. All of them. You need to get across the river. Now.
Hi, I'm Aaron,
And I'm Ariel.
and we're the hosts of the Legend of Zelda Lorecast, a podcast about all things Legend of Zelda, from Errol to Zora.
And all the fun things in between.
If you're ready to dive deep and learn more about the Legend of Zelda lore and everything surrounding it, come join us. on Legend of Zelda Lorecast. You can find us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, and wherever else you get your podcasts.
We hope to see you soon.
I got their attention. Damn, they're fast.
Are you okay, Day?
I can stay ahead of them, I think. Just be ready. There are a lot of them.
Damn.
Did he have any numbers?
I'm pretty sure he doesn't have time to stop and count. Just get ready.
I'm almost there.
He's coming, remember. Heads and legs. Anything else wastes time and ammo.
Johns had no idea if their plan was going to work, but they had to try. The small group had set up a defensive position in the two old houses overlooking a small road bridge. He and Paladin Valdez were covering the top floor, while Emily and Douglas were aiming out of the first floor windows. Sandy and Amanda were in the house next door, where Day would join them as soon as he arrived. They'd open fire as soon as the Onai were in range, and keep firing until they either stopped them, or, well, Johns didn't want to think about the alternative.
Johns, I see him.
Johns brought up his binoculars and settled on the lone figure coming down the road. He had to give the kid credit. He certainly ran a hell of a lot faster, and further, than Johns ever could. Day kept running and glanced over his shoulder, and if anything, started running faster. Johns looked down the road and immediately saw why.
Here they come.
The Paladin raised her rifle as well, and saw the Onai emerge from the deepening gloom. There were more than she expected, at least 10 in the first wave, with others following behind. This wasn't going to be easy.
Get ready to fire!
The group began to pick their targets, focusing on either the right or left. Amanda leaned over and gave Cindy a quick kiss before sighting down the barrel of her rifle and settling on the head of the Onai in front. Douglas and Emily shared a quick hand squeeze before selecting their own targets.
Here goes nothing.
Johns waited for Day to make it to the bridge, then he pulled the trigger. Johns fired first, followed by the rest. The group's aim was true, and the advancing Onai were staggered by the surprise volley of fire. The creatures were tough, very tough, but only one of them fell out of formation, blinded by the gunfire blowing out its eyeballs. Day dove across the covered deck of Cindy and Amanda's house, raising his rifle and joining in. He emptied the magazine into one of the Onai's legs and was rewarded with the sight of it collapsing down upon the road. But the small victory was short-lived, as the creatures rose on its good leg and started limping towards them again.
We aren't really slowing them down.
Keep firing. That's all we can do.
Slapping a fresh magazine into her rifle, the Paladin aimed low this time, knocking another one of the creatures to the ground. However, the Onai kept coming, getting closer with each passing second. Despite the volume of fire, only a few of the creatures had been killed, and more appeared out of the gloom to join their brethren, at least a dozen more by the looks of it. Johns checked his ammo pouch. They were running through their supply at a dizzying pace, and it didn't take a genius to figure they would run out of bullets well before the Onai ran out of bodies.
Damn it.
The Onai were only a couple of 100 feet from the bridge and would be on top of them in less than a minute. Maybe they could run, but where would they go?
Paladin, I think we need to...
Before Johns could finish the statement, he heard the roar of a deathclaw, followed by the sustained burst of fire which nearly took one of the Onai's head off. There was also more gunfire coming from the north, and the sound of... super mutants? Johns looked out the window and saw Red riding in on Shiny's shoulders, firing a rifle as the Deathclaw ran forward to meet the Onai head-on. Valdez looked out of her window and was shocked to see a dozen super mutants charging down the hill towards the Onai, firing their assault rifles on the run. And the one in front, larger than the rest, appeared to have someone riding on his shoulder.
Wait, is that Lilith?
Clad in her torn forest camo jumpsuit and adorned with bandages over her many healing wounds, Lilith rode on Mad Dog's shoulders, a newly fashioned blade in hand. Charging straight into battle, Lilith leapt off of the super mutant and directly onto one of the Onai, and thrust her blade entirely through the top of the creature's head. The super mutants and Shiny arrived in the midst of the Onai at the same time, with Red firing in one direction while the Deathclaw tore at the others with its vicious claws. The super mutants gave no quarter, firing point blank into the creatures and using sledgehammers to pound them into the dirt. Caught between the two new threats, it didn't matter that they were still outnumbered their opponents. Presented with such a dilemma, the Onai attempted to respond, but for the first time, they were found lacking. Lilith pulled her blade free from her first victim and used her speed and size to get around and under the other creatures, slashing at their legs and ripping open their torsos with vicious swings, drenching herself in their entrails and vital fluids. Mad Dog laughed as he swung his super sledge, crushing the skull of another Onai, while his gang joined in on the fun. The Deathclaw and Red steadily added to the carnage. Shiny grabbed one of the creatures in its clawed hands, while Red used Old Person to blow its head clean off. The others in the buildings could only watch in astonishment as the two waves of advancing Onai were systematically slaughtered, until every single one of them lay strewn about the road, most in multiple pieces.
What the hell did I just see?
A miracle. That's what it was.
I don't know what to say.
When we get out of here, I say you start with the thank you.
Amongst the dead, Lilith, Mad Dog, and Red ended up standing across from each other.
Red, is that you?
Lilith?
Me not see human with horns before.
I know, right? She's definitely not boring.
Johnny, remember what I said. Friends, not food, right?
Me eat Deathclaw once. It meat tough, not favorite of Mad Dog.
Mad Dog, I promise I'll find you something much better to eat.
The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of the rest of the group.
I never imagined I'd be saying this, but thank you, Lilith.
How are you here? The Colonel said you'd been injured too badly to travel.
Lilith wiped the Onai blood from her face and cleaned her blade on her sleeve.
It was awful, I tell you. Those pesky Greys attacked us and destroyed my father's lab. Then that stupid Grey 9 shot Bitter, Sullivan, and Samantha, too. I was gonna rip his spine out through his chest. But he cheated, I swear. Then Mad Dog showed up and made them all run away.
We crush puny humans. No one mess with Mad Dog Malone.
That's right, Mad Dog. Anyway, I had Sullivan inject me with some of Graham's blood. I figured since we're related...
Wait a minute. You're related to Graham?
That is a very long and fascinating story.
And one we don't really have time to listen to right now.
Oh, pooh. Fine. Abracadabra, it made me feel all better. Mostly.
But how? And why are you here?
When Mad Dog came back, he said Val had some big plan and everyone else was going to the river. I was getting bored, so I thought I would help. Where is Val anyway?
That's also a long story. Right now we need to help get these people across the river.
Fine, fine. As soon as we do, though, you're gonna tell me where Val is.
Speaking of the others, where are they?
Well, they aren't made of the same stuff as me, but Sullivan was able to patch them up well enough to move. And Graham, well, he went to go find Charlie.
Thank goodness. And Charlie, she's just fine, helping carry folks to the river.
Wonderful. Graham will be so happy. In fact, he and the others are already on their way there. We were following behind, then heard all the wonderful gunfire. That's never boring.
Thanks to you and Red here, otherwise I don't know what would have happened.
What is it, Johnny?
The Deathclaw looked up and sniffed before growling again.
Does he smell something?
He smells something, but he hears something too.
That's a vertibird.
Oh, maybe that's Val.
The sound of the vertibird got closer and closer until they could just make out the silhouette of the aircraft in the sky. It must have seen them because it banked in their direction. Then the Paladin's radio squawked to life.
This is Sophia DeGuerre to anyone on this frequency. The Onai are coming fast. All of them. You need to get across the river. Now.
The Paladin picked up the radio and toggled the transmit button.
This is Paladin Valdez. Please confirm.
Paladin, Thank God. The Onai are heading right at you. Hundreds of them, with behemoths.
How much time do we have?
Not long at all. They'll be right on top of you before you know it. You need to move, now.
We just went from the frying pan right into the fire.
I did not come this far to just give up now.
Neither did I.
We took an engine hit, heading to Point Pleasant while it holds out. Get moving while you can.
The radio went silent as the vertibird passed overhead and disappeared in the direction of the town.
You heard the lady.
And just how are we gonna outrun an army?
It's elementary. Mad Dog?
What need now, Lilith?
I need your gang to carry us, all of us, and run as fast as you can down this road. Can you do that?
We can, but Mad Dog not like to run away.
I'll make a deal, Mad Dog. You get my friends and me to the river, then you can do whatever and eat whomever you want.
Lilith, darling.
Okay. You can eat any bad guys you want.
Me like you. If means we get chance to smash the biggest smash of all, then it deal.
You know, nothing surprises me anymore.
I've said the same thing, Johns. More than once.
I get to ride on a super mutant? Okay, this is the coolest thing I've done today.
Douglas, when we get out of this, you and I are going to have a very long chat about your life goals.
Speaking of life goals, can Amanda and I ride on Shiny?
Baby doll.
Come on, Amanda, where's your sense of adventure?
Okay, but if he eats me, I'm gonna be really upset.
Enough chatter, people. I'd ride a scorched beast if it got us to the river ahead of what's coming.
It was an odd sight as Mad Dog's gang began grabbing the humans, not particularly gently, and hoisting them up onto their shoulders. Cindy ran over to Shiny, who gave her a lick before allowing her to climb onto his back, while Amanda tentatively walked over.
Aww, Amanda, he's so friendly.
Baby doll. Ugh. All right, Shiny. You be a good boy now.
The Deathclaw gave the former raider a good once-over, before reaching out and grabbing her with its large clawed hand. Amanda squeezed her eyes shut, and the Deathclaw made a noise that might just have been a little like a chuckle, before placing her on his back.
My, darling. Old Shiny must like you. He doesn't do that for anyone.
See, I told you.
Baby doll, wait! Never mind. Let's just get the hell out of here before those things come calling again.
What are we gonna do if we can't get everyone across in time?
Might have a surprise or two up my sleeve, darling. Now, hold on to your butts, darlings. Shiny, let's get a move on.
Led by the Deathclaw, the super mutants and the humans riding on their shoulders started running down the road towards the flickering lights of Point Pleasant. As they disappeared into the darkening night, the rumbling of their footsteps was replaced with another, deeper vibration. The Horde was coming, a wave of monstrosities prepared to crush everything before them underfoot. There is an age-old question. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an unmovable object? Historically, the main obstacle to testing that problem was the difficulty in acquiring immovable objects. But those at the bank of the Ohio could desperately need one, very soon. Valeria reached into her pouch and pulled out another fresh magazine of plasma cartridges, slamming them into her rifle. Skinner was in the process of destroying yet another Protectron, while Jones and Shin had made short work of a pair of Mr. Handy maintenance bots who had appeared from one of the silo storage rooms. Buzzblades and mini-flamers were no match against power armor and plasma.
Where do they all keep coming from?
Not sure, but at this rate, we'll run out of ammo before this damn silo runs out of bots.
Bot constructors. Shadow said the silo was lousy with them. As long as they have access to power and raw materials, they can churn out bots indefinitely.
That is unfortunate.
Shin, are you okay in there?
I'm fine. We just need to keep going.
The main storage area can't be far now. Stick to the plan.
The others nodded in agreement and continued down the corridor past the wreckage of the destroyed bots. Valeria winced in pain, pressing against the bandage on her right side. She'd taken a slug from one of the Colonel Gutsies. The high-powered, armor-piercing round had passed clean through the ballistic weave in the icebreaker outfit, nearly throwing her to the floor with the impact. Luckily for her, it had also passed cleanly through her, missing vital organs, but making quite a mess. After destroying the bot, Jones had applied a field dressing, along with a stim pack, the best any of them could do. Neither Jones nor Skinner had come this far unscathed either. Both of them sported a variety of wounds, cuts, and abrasions. None of them were serious, but they all left their own blood trails along the hallway. As they made their way down, Valeria finally saw what she had been looking for.
Silo Bravo, storage facility.
The sign was pointing straight down the hallway. A ramp was visible at the end, which descended further into the belly of the silo.
Stay alert. We have no idea what we're going to find. Once inside, we secure the area best we can, given infinite reinforcements, and find the nukes. Not necessarily in that order.
No problem, Colonel.
I'll lead the way.
After you, Knight.
Knight Shin strode forward, while the others kept a sharp eye out for more bots. The hallway was eerily silent. Their echoing footfalls was the only sound they heard above the drone of the automated factory machinery below them. When they reached the ramp, the group got their first look at their final destination.
You've got to be kidding me.
Looking down, past an enormous open blast door, the interior warehouse stretched out in front of them. Originally designed to hold years, if not decades of supplies, it also housed spare missile casings, engines, and more importantly for this very moment, surplus nuclear warheads. Shin led the way as they walked down the ramp, scanning the large interior for any signs of defenses or resistance. So far, they had seen nothing. Passing under the large blast door, Valeria looked up. It was easily 3 feet thick, made of hardened steel. If it had been shut, there would have been no way the group could have gotten inside, short of blowing open the door with one of their special charges and risking a non-critical detonation.
I don't like it. This is too easy.
Stay vigilant.
Valeria knew that even if it was likely a trap, there was nothing she could do about it. None of this worked unless they could get access to the warheads. The only way out was through. As they entered the cavernous warehouse space, Valeria felt a subtle change in the atmosphere, and the hairs rose up on the back of her neck.
Scanners detecting sentient life. This area is restricted. Scanning for authorization. Authorization denied.
Move!
The trio of Assaultron Dominators, the ones they'd left back in the control room, seemingly deactivated, had instead made their way to the storage area, and now moved to finish what they started. Activating their internal stealth boards, the Dominators were nearly invisible, except for the slight shimmer of the light refractor field. Valeria, Jones, and Skinner dropped to one knee and tried to get a bead on the bots before they got too close, while Shin moved to engage the one that he could see, charging them from straight ahead. The scene descended into chaos as the room exploded with the sound of gunfire and charging bots. The Assaultrons hadn't been alone, as more Protectrons and Gutsies activated and added their firepower to the mix. Shin met the first Dominator head-on, the bot reappearing suddenly as it punched forward with one of its blade arms, which sliced through the Exo-1's torso armor and stabbed the knight. Shin gritted his teeth and pressed forward, grabbing the Assaultron's other arm with his good one, and bodily tossed the entire bot a dozen feet. It crashed through several crates of heavy industrial parts and ended up a pile of scrap on the warehouse floor. Valeria and Skinner managed to bracket one of the other Dominators, their plasma bolts shorting out the stealth field and rendering the bot visible once again. It continued to charge forward, even as the other two grimly chipped away at its armor until finally a lucky shot severed the main power line between the head and the torso. The bot fell to the floor and skidded to a stop at their feet, its deadly arm still poised to strike, if it had been able. Jones did his best, but the last Assaultron dodged left, then right, and try as he might, he couldn't cause enough damage to stop it.
You are facing an Assaultron-class combat robot. Death is inevitable.
Colonel, can you use some backup here? Colonel!
Just then, Jones' plasma rifle receiver clicked on empty. Time seemed to slow as the bot materialized, thrusting its arm forward on a hydraulic piston. It didn't feel anything like Jones had expected. The impact surprised him the most. Then the cough of blood.
Jones!
Looking down, Jones saw the blade sticking through his chest. It had punched all the way through.
You humans. Pathetic.
Seeing movement behind its impaled victim, the Assaultron started powering up its head-mounted laser. Jones coughed up another wad of blood, then reached for something in his pack, fighting against the blackness rushing in from the periphery of his view. Finding what he was looking for, he pulled out a plasma grenade, pulling the pin as he lifted it into view.
What a bleeding gift for the insult hut instead right now.
Valeria had been aiming her rifle to fire when she saw the grenade. In that split second, she shoved Skinner aside and leapt after him just as the grenade exploded, vaporizing Jones and destroying the Assaultron. Even at the edge of the blast was enough to send Valeria and Skinner tumbling along the floor, finally ending up against a pile of old crates. Stunned, Valeria could only huddle behind the meager cover as she tried to recover from the after effects of the explosion and the realization of Jones' sacrifice. Lasers and slugs dug into the crates, covering the Colonel with splinters. The bots were moving into better firing positions, and it was only a matter of time until they got a clean shot.
Skinner! Skinner! You need to get up!
The captain had been knocked unconscious, and he was bleeding from his wounds. Valeria grabbed her last stim pack and injected Skinner. He moaned, but didn't move. Grabbing her rifle, Valeria fired and destroyed a Protectron that appeared across from them, but return fire from the catwalks above forced her to buck back down again. Feeling around her pack, Valeria realized she was almost out of ammo, and now out of luck.
Damn it. Jeannie, I'm sorry.
Valeria would never quit, never surrender. She'd just have to give Shin a shot at pulling it off alone. If she was going to die, it would be on her feet, giving her all, to the end. She took one deep breath and smoothly released it as she rose from cover.
There is no need to fear! The Unstoppables are here!
Just like something out of a comic book, the super mutant Maul came charging out of the darkness, closely followed by Private Lawson. Charging in amongst the bots, Maul swung his axe left and right, cleaving bots in two or exploding them into piles of scrap. Lawson concentrated his fire on the bots along the catwalks, picking off Protectrons and Gutsies one by one.
Colonel? Colonel!
Valeria blinked at the unexpected reprieve, but recovered almost instantly and charged into the fray, targeting the remaining bots. She felt the impact of a slug, then two more, but her armor held, and she fired at the bots targeting Maul, while the super mutant did his best to out-Grognak by single-handedly taking on nearly a dozen bots himself. Lawson finished off the bots on the upper level and ran towards the Colonel. Valeria was reloading when Lawson saw a final Colonel Gutson float out into the open, its slug thrower trained on the Colonel's back.
Colonel, look out!
Valeria began to turn, but she wouldn't react fast enough. Without hesitation, Lawson took 2 steps and leapt across the rest of the way, firing as he flew through the air, before pushing the Colonel aside as the bot had begun firing. Valeria and Lawson ended up in a pile on the floor, but the private's aim had been true, his final plasma bolts destroying the Gutsy. Slowly disentangling herself from Lawson, Valeria's side throbbed angrily, and she realized she was covered in more blood. But it wasn't hers.
God, Lawson.
Reaching down, she turned the private over and discovered he had taken the slugs that had been meant for her. He was bleeding from multiple wounds, any one of which alone would have been fatal.
Colonel, are you okay?
I'm fine, Private. Don't talk.
Yeah, it's okay. I just wanted to make Frederick proud.
You did. I'm sure of it.
Lawson?
Hey, Maul. I had to tell you. You really are stronger than Grognak.
Lawson! Man to man, not so bad. Me proud that you my sidekick. Always.
Not so bad. For the fish guy. Thanks, Maul.
You were always the hero you wished to be, Lawson. Godspeed.
Valeria reached down and closed the private's eyes. Maul stood silently next to her, before wiping a tear from his eye. Valeria got up and saw Shin, his armor propped up against one of the crates.
Oh, shit. Shin!
Running over to where the knight lay, she could see that it was already too late. The Dominator's assaultron blade was sticking out of the armor, a large pool of blood around the knight's broken body beneath him. There had been no last words. He had fulfilled his duty and given his all, and in the end, Shin had done the Brotherhood proud. The Colonel spared a moment of silent thanks, then turned wearily back towards Skinner.
Oh, did anyone get the license plate on that truck?
Skinner!
Valeria jogged back to where Skinner was picking himself up off the floor.
Are you functional, Captain?
Oh, besides the worst headache I've ever had, yeah, I'm fine. Where are the others?
Jones and Shin are dead. Lawson, too.
Damn. Wait, Lawson?
He just showed up. Don't ask me how. But we're it.
Me still here. Me unstoppable.
Yeah, it seems so. You, me, and Maul. But we're here. We need to find those warheads fast while there's still breathing room.
Oh, shit. Okay, let's do this.
Valeria looked around. The warehouse space was enormous, but she thought she spied what they were looking for further down, next to a row of rocket engines.
Down there. Follow me.
The trio walked through the warehouse, keeping an eye out for any more bots or packed operatives, but again it appeared for the moment they were alone. Rounding the corner into a wider open space, Valeria exhaled deeply.
Those are the warheads. That's a lot more than I was expecting.
You aren't kidding. No wonder Eckhart wanted to get his grubby little mitts on these silos. He could have nuked China down to the bedrock with all these.
These big bombs? But they so small!
Sometimes it's the smallest bits that matter most, Maul. They just need the right kind of pressure.
Guess we better get to it then.
We wire as many of them as we can, but in parallel so we can blow what we've got at any time. Maul, watch our backs.
Why me watch backs? Me should watch for more bad guys!
That's not... You're right, of course, Maul. Watch for the bad guys. Good thinking.
Me do it for Lawson. He better hero than comics. He real.
I never thought it would come to this.
Neither did I, Captain. If the world were fair, but the game was rigged from the start.
I had a similar conversation with Thompson. When he told us his plan to deal with that damn Assaultron, I thought he'd lost his damn mind.
He was a good man. I have so many regrets.
It was his choice. He did it because he knew it was the right thing to do, and there wasn't any better way. And you did what you had to, Colonel. None of us followed you without a choice. We did it because we wanted to.
Thank you, Captain. We don't have a lot of time. Let's focus and get these wired.
While Maul kept watch, Valeria and Skinner unpacked the explosives. Each improvised device was designed to act as a fission trigger, just like those used in regular fusion warheads. It might not be a perfect setup, but enough in such close proximity should be sufficient to detonate the payloads beyond break-even, which would domino to the rest, and that would be plenty to ignite the ultracite veins under the silo. From there, the chain reaction would spread down the spine of Appalachia. The two of them took out their tools and started removing the access panels from multiple warheads. There was a brief chitter from their Pip-Boys as each warhead was exposed. Seeing Valeria try to cover a wince, Skinner reached into a pouch on his armor.
Here, it's the last Red-X pill I've got.
Seems a bit redundant at this point, doesn't it, Captain?
Just take it. It's not as if we're saving them for something better.
Valeria gave the captain a wry smile before downing the pill. Returning back to the warheads, they'd open an even dozen before starting to attach their own explosives. Valeria handed the first pack to Skinner before returning to her own. She opened the backpack and found a folded letter stuffed inside.
What is...
Removing the letter, another piece of paper slipped out and landed at her feet. Valeria reached down and picked it up. It was a roughly drawn map of Silo Bravo with some notations on it. She held up the letter. It was from Shadow.
Valeria, if you're reading this, you made it to the storage area, and I'm not with you. Alive or dead, I still owe you. You treated me like a human being, not the freak I was always told I was. And you were willing to give up everything to do the right thing. So I'm telling you one last secret. One that might just get you out of there alive.
Valeria glanced at the map again, while finishing Shadow's letter.
At the bottom of the storage area, there is an old maintenance shaft. It goes down below the silo and exits at the base of the mountain. The access is one way, so it was no good to get us in. But it might just buy you enough time to get clear, along with anyone else still left with you. Who knows? Maybe we'll meet again someday. Shadow.
Valeria's heart skipped a beat and quickened at the idea that there might actually be some slim hope, before her need to focus on the mission clamped down on the feeling. If Sophia had followed her orders, she was long gone. And even if they escaped the mountain, there was no way to get to minimum safe distance now. But the gesture had still landed. Valeria brushed a tear from her eye before folding the letter and map, stuffing them into her jacket pocket. She picked up the pack and brought it over to Skinner, helping him install the remaining explosive devices. Skinner finished with the last one before standing up and admiring his handiwork.
You know, they definitely did not teach us this in the vault. How are we going to trigger this?
Timer. And Shadow may have given us a way out of here.
Wait, what?
I know. It's Shadow. He left a message for me in my detonator pack. There might be an escape. From the mountain, anyway. A hatch somewhere below us. Without a ride, it's the thought that counts. I thought you should know, though.
Well, I'll be damned.
Let's connect and set the timer, then we can...
The arc of a Tesla blast exploded between Valeria and Skinner, sending them sprawling. Valeria spasmed and groaned in pain as the electrical current surged through her body, and her jaw muscles briefly locked. Clenching her fists and trying to catch her breath, Valeria struggled to stand. Her vision was blurry, but she heard something. As her vision cleared, Valeria looked up and saw something on the catwalk above.
Hello, Valeria. How we've missed you.
As the refugees from Appalachia flowed down the road and crossed into Point Pleasant, they did so under the distrustful eyes of the cult. Seen only as shadowy figures silhouetted by torches and the bonfires, the followers of the Mothman could barely hide their contempt for those who were treading on their Divine One's holy ground. But their god had spoken. The whole town smelled of vile concoctions and stank of rotted flesh and congealed blood. The refugees did their best to shield their eyes from the bloody skeletons and hanging corpses, just counting themselves lucky not to be among them. Sergeant Muller did his best to keep the column moving, threading their way past the totems and relics that littered the streets of the old town, towards a recently repaired bridge over the Ohio River.
Repaired? That's a damn generous description.
Years before, the original responders had traveled the same road and ended up in the same place. A final stand against the Scorched to give those few survivors a chance to escape before one brave soul blew up the bridge and closed that chapter on post-war Appalachia. After the cult had moved in and made the town their home, they had gotten to work making the crossing of their own, built on the rubble of the original bridge. Now it consisted of planks of wood resting on top of the rusting hulks of old cars and trucks. It didn't look remotely safe or even particularly sturdy, but they didn't have a choice. It was cross or die. There was no other option.
Are you sure it's safe?
Honey, it's enough. It's not the Golden Gate, that's for sure, but all we have to do is get to the other side.
And what happens then? What's going to happen to us?
I don't know. We just need to get as far away from here as we can. Then we find a new home.
I hope you're right, but can we?
Things look bad, but I know the Colonel. She'll do what needs to be done to give us that chance. Then it's up to us.
Melissa cradled their daughter in her arms and leaned up to kiss her husband.
Don't you dare die on me. I am not raising this child alone.
Never think of it. This old warhorse is done. Tomorrow, we start over. Now, I need to make sure we get everyone across. Just stay with the others, stay calm, and stay safe.
Muller reached into their cart and pulled out a 10mm pistol and handed it to his wife.
Don't hesitate to use this if you need to, just in case.
Melissa's face hardened, and she took the pistol, sliding it into the waistband of her pants. Muller kissed her again, then kissed his child, before turning and walking back down the column, encouraging everyone to keep moving. The first of the civilians had already crossed the bridge, assisted by the surviving members of the Walltown militia and several of Paladin Valdez's initiates.
Sergeant Muller, are you there?
Muller stopped and toggled his radio.
This is Muller. Sophia, is that you?
It is. We should be there in a few minutes, but the bird is limping. Is there any place for us to land?
Muller looked around. There wasn't a lot of space that wasn't already taken up, either by the cultists or the civilians. But maybe.
Try the waterfront. Still gonna be a tight fit, but it should suffice.
Waterfront? Okay, got it. Are the civilians getting across?
They are, but it's slow going.
You need to hurry them up, fast as you can.
Sophia, we can't afford a stampede. What's going on?
The Onai are coming. All of them.
Shit. How long do we have?
Not long enough. I need to set down and take a look at the damaged engine. Maybe we can still get some use out of her. The others are coming too. Should be there shortly.
And the Colonel? She with you?
No, she's still at Bravo. She's not coming back.
Deep down, Muller had always known the score, but hearing it still felt like a punch in the gut. She had given him one last order, and one he couldn't afford to ignore, not if he wanted to keep his family safe.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Muller turned off the radio and looked at the column of civilians. He couldn't make a general announcement. It would just scare everyone. Instead, he continued to walk amongst the survivors, encouraging them with quiet confidence. Here and there, if someone seemed the sort not to panic, he just gave them a look, let them see the urgency in his eyes, and hoped they'd each encourage a few more, all the while praying it would be enough to get them across the river. In the dark sky above, the sounds of the incoming vertibird grew louder until the aircraft hovered into view, passing over the town and making a quick circle over the bridge before heading to the waterfront. The right engine was smoking heavily, and the fuselage had a broad assortment of large and small caliber bullet holes in it. Muller and the civilians covered their eyes or looked away as the vertibird came down, adjusting its descent to land precisely between the cult totems and the old town bandstand. As the engine slowly powered down, Muller ran over, arriving just as the cargo doors slid open and Shadow jumped to the ground. Muller went up to the lieutenant, who was already examining the smoking engine.
Shadow, are you okay?
Sergeant, all the demons of hell are getting ready to come over those hills right on top of us. Or the Colonel blows the silo while we're still on the wrong side of the river, and hell itself kills us instead. So no, I am certainly not okay.
Gosh, seems like someone got out on the wrong side of the vertibird. Case of the Mondays?
Muller turned to see Weasel being helped out of the vertibird by Corporal Jameson.
I don't need your commentary right now, Weasel.
Blame the Vox. I'm just happy to be back with my cuddle bunny.
Cuddle bunny?
What can I say? You have grown on me, and not in the deadly fungus kind of way. So I'm leaning in. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Shadow looked ready to start an actual fight when Sophia appeared from around the other side of the aircraft.
Enough, all of you. The Colonel put me in charge, and we're not done here. Not by half. Shadow, grab the tools. We're going to do what we can for this engine, just in case we need to go back in the air. Sergeant, are you sure you can't move these folks any faster?
Not without causing utter panic. I've done the best we can, I think.
Damn.
Hey there.
Looks like you might need some help.
All eyes turned to the masked Blue Ridge Caravan guard, who had come running up from the direction of the old Mothman Museum.
Ares, what are you doing here? I thought you were with Red.
I was, but she took Shiny to help slow down those creatures. I've been helping out here, and well, helping Antlers and Cherry take pictures of the Mothman statue.
You were doing what? Actually, I don't want to know. You said you could help?
I was a bit of an engineer savant back in the day. Built the biggest damn killer assaultron you ever saw. Might have made a little mistake, though. Tried to rip my face off when I programmed it to think it was a shoot squatch.
I agree with Muller. I really don't need to know. But you're an engineer? You think you can help with the engine?
If I can build killer robots, I can fix an engine. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So it is a damn good thing I'm here. It won't be as good as new, but she'll fly. Probably.
That's good enough for me. All right, Shadow, grab Thomas and see if you can find a doctor to get him patched up. Then you, Weasel, and Jameson, get across the river.
What are you going to do?
We've got to do something to slow those things down. This bird still has guns.
About that, there's something you need to know.
Know what, exactly?
All eyes turned to the hills above the town. The sound of gunfire and explosions echoed on the wind, and the horizon was filled with bright yellow flashes. It was enough to cause a minor panic among the people, and Muller immediately went to try to calm the crowds and keep them moving towards the bridge.
There's no way in hell they can stop them all.
I guess it was fun while it lasted.
A strange sound rose on the wind. It was like nothing that any of them had ever heard before.
Come on, let's get to work.
Ares, what's going on? What's that sound?
I'd tell you, but you wouldn't believe me. Just look up.
Ares pointed to the sky before turning back and began working on the engine like the world wasn't ending around them. Sophia looked up, and her eyes went wide.
Oh my God.
Hey everybody, my name is Crawford Smith and I am the owner of Smith's 3D Prints LLC. We are a 3D printing service company that is dedicated to providing you with high quality 3D prints in both resin and filament. We print anything from dice towers to custom D&D figures and cosplay. Located in 44 Pennsylvania, let us know what we can print for you. Follow us on Facebook and join our Discord. Are you looking for more information? Look us up at smiths3dprints.com or give us a call at 570-991-0277. Thank you so much.
An uneasy peace had returned to Vault 63. The hallways were stained with blood of both Deltas and their victims, but order had finally prevailed. Gray operatives, along with packed civilian volunteers, patrolled the corridors, while medical staff tended to the wounded. A group of Deltas, bloody and restrained, were led into the command center, where Director Hornwright and Dr. Blackburn were overseeing the final elements of their plan.
Director.
Gray 2? What do we have here?
Stragglers. We flushed them out of the tunnels. Killed most of them, but we captured the rest.
Excellent. Fitting that they should be here to witness the futility of their so-called revolt.
Evelyn looked at the Deltas and smiled, before turning back to the wall-mounted displays. Several showed the destruction of Vault Town, while others showed the interiors of Silo Alpha and Charlie. And finally, there was one in the center that showed a countdown, heading towards 0.
Do you see that? For all your stubbornness and attempts to upset the natural order, you have failed. Our missiles will launch, and the future shall be ours. And you will be buried in the earth from whence you came, forgotten for all time.
The Deltas looked at each other, then back at Evelyn. Her smile faded as they stared. Then she heard a soft, muffled chuckle. Evelyn's mouth twisted into a frown.
You know who I am.
The Deltas nodded.
As it was a Hornwright that helped create your sorry lot, it will be a Hornwright that ends all of you. Grey 2, are we ready to send reinforcements to Silo Bravo?
Just about. I was planning on leading the men myself.
Our first missile launch is imminent. Why don't you stay here to witness this historic event?
A minor delay won't change the outcome. It would be an honor, Dr. Blackburn.
As the countdown continued, all eyes turned to the screen. Evelyn felt something was amiss. She looked back at the Deltas. They appeared to be waiting for something as well. The floor seemed to vibrate, followed by a distant, hollow boom.
What was that?
I have no idea.
Will someone please tell me just what the hell is going on?
Sorry, Director. We're getting word from Silo Alpha.
Well, what is it?
There was an explosion. The silo hatch has been compromised.
Compromised? What does that mean exactly?
The cliffside above the silo. It collapsed.
Director, we're receiving an update from Silo Charlie. They suffered a similar mishap.
Mishap? How is this even possible?
All eyes turned to the Deltas.
You did this, didn't you? Vile creatures. Grandfather should have exterminated all of you when he had the chance.
Evelyn's face twisted into a scowl. No one laughed at her. No one disrespected her family.
Enough.
Evelyn reached down and grabbed Grey 2's pistol from its holster and took a step forward.
Evelyn.
She pressed the barrel against the head of one of the Deltas. Through its old gas mask, she could see the contempt in those mutated eyes. One by one, Evelyn shot each of the Deltas, smiling humorously as each body hit the floor.
When you want something done... Now, notify the silo commanders. I don't care what it takes or what they have to do. Those missiles will be launched as soon as the hatches are clear. Do you all understand?
The room was deathly silent for a moment before anyone dared speak.
Of course, Director.
Right away, Director.
Good. I will not tolerate any further delays.
Director?
Grey 2?
May I have my pistol, ma'am?
Ah, my apologies. Here you are. My, if I had known how good it felt to squeeze a trigger, I might have done so sooner.
Director, should I take my teams to Bravo, or do you want us to assist with Alpha and Charlie?
Your orders still stand. Our men at the other silos will have to earn their keep. And their lives. Get to Bravo and secure the facility. I expect results, Grey 2.
I understand, Director. We'll be in the air shortly.
Grey 2 turned, giving the bodies of the Deltas one last look before leaving the command center.
Evelyn, darling, was that really necessary?
Oh, Edgar. I admit that was unseemly, but yes, it was necessary. However, it shouldn't be for much longer. Would someone please clean this filth from my floor?
While the technicians removed the bodies, Evelyn walked to the center of the room. The smell of gunpowder still lingered in the air and on her hand. And then she looked up at the display. The counter had reached 0. Their missiles should have already been in the air, on their way to their targets.
We have all the time in the world. Our victory is inevitable. Isn't it?
Please, stop rocking the Deathclaw, baby doll.
Do not throw up on Shiny. You do not want me to make you give him a bath.
Even in a world turned upside down, the scene would have struck anyone as bizarre. A Deathclaw with riders, followed by a gang of super mutants, carrying humans on their shoulders, all running down an old Appalachian country road. It was, as they used to say, something you don't see every day. The whole way, Lilith had been chatting away with Mad Dog Malone. The two had bonded over their wholesale love of violence and death, and in a gesture of a weird kind of friendship, Mad Dog had helped Lilith bury her 2 mutant hounds back at the prison. Day, riding his own super mutant, kept looking over his shoulder, wary of what was coming. He still had no idea how they were going to stop or even slow down the Onai horde. The mere dozen or so they'd found earlier had been bad enough, but hundreds of them? Johns and Valdez had been yelling across to one another, presenting one plan after the other, only to realize the futility in what they were proposing. Their only hope was that the Colonel fulfilled her mission, as terrible as that was, and they had time to get across the river before it was too late.
Hey, I see something. Up ahead.
The assembled group scanned the road in front of them and could just make out a line of torches. As they approached, Red stood up on Shiny's shoulders to get a better look.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Whoa there, Shiny.
The Deathclaw skidded to a halt, quickly followed by the super mutants.
Welcome, O Red of the Touched. Our Divine One has been waiting.
There was the cultist high priestess, Celestria. Instead of her robes, she was now wearing what could only be described as bone armor, inscribed with runes, and it wasn't just her. To her left and right, as far as they could see, was a line of cultist warriors, armed with all manner of weapons, both old and new, a veritable army. Red climbed down from Shiny and walked up to Celestria.
Now, see here, darling. What y'all think you're doing?
We are fulfilling the will of the Mothman.
The others all ran up to join Red.
You have no idea what's coming. There's a horde of unstoppable monsters right on our heels. We all need to get out of here.
We know of these dim ones. The Holy Mothman gave us a vision. This is his home, and we shall not allow his land to be tainted by them.
This is tactically unsound.
You, of the family of metal.
Brotherhood of Steel.
You do not belong here. It is time for you all to leave. We have been given a mission by the old, true god of this land.
But you're all gonna die here.
If it is the will of the Divine One, then so be it.
Me and my gang do not run. We will fight.
If you wish to stay, then it is also the will of the Mothman.
Mad Dog, are you sure?
Lilith, you tough lady. You find Valia. We do what we do best. We smash.
Day grabbed Johns, Valdez, and Red.
These people are totally crazy. But they're a better bet to buy us enough time than anything else I've heard. We need to go.
You're not wrong on either account. Yeah. Let's get the hell out of here while we still can.
The others had to agree, and the rest looked back at the cultists, all standing firm against the night. Some nodded, others said a silent prayer as they left. Red was getting ready to climb on top of Shiny when Celestria stepped forward.
Red of the Touched.
Yeah?
Celestria took Red by the hand and squeezed.
Thank you, again, for revealing my brother's fate. He has gone into the divine light as was promised. Before you leave, our Holy One gave me a final message for you. He said that your story is merely at its beginning. You must go home, for you have unfinished business.
Damn straight I do. The man himself hinted as much. For what it's worth, darling, good luck.
Red turned and climbed on top of Shiny, pointing him in the direction of Point Pleasant. As the Deathclaw stomped away, Celestria and the cultists bowed to her. The ground itself was beginning to vibrate, and the distant sound of stomping feet could be heard.
Now we have a real fight!
My brethren, The Most Holy has commanded us to stand against the rising darkness. Now is the time to bring his divine light and cleanse the dim ones from his land. And fear not, for we are not alone.
Celestria, high priestess of the cult of the Mothman, chosen amongst all his holy followers, reached down and pulled a gleaming obsidian blade from its sheath, inscribed with runes and symbols of the Divine One, and raised it into the night sky.
Look to the heavens, my brothers and sisters, for he is with us, and he has granted us his army.
A strange droning filled the air, and ahead of the group, the first of the Onai emerged from the darkness, a wall of creatures storming towards them.
Now we fulfill our destiny. Death to the dim ones!
It is time for us to smash! Now is the time of the super mutant!
The cultist army charged forward with the super mutants to meet the onrushing tide, weapons in hand. From rifles to blades, no hesitation, not one step back. And they were not alone.
Reynolds?
Yes and no. You killed Reynolds when you escaped the White Spring. Good help is so hard to find.
That's not possible. This can't be Stein's bomb.
Not so clever, after all, Valeria. When you so conveniently reconnected us to the regional surveillance network and the Kovac Muldoon satellite, you allowed us to expand beyond the limitations of the bunker.
Modus.
The loss of the White Spring was regrettable, but we had prepared our own contingencies to ensure our survival. Every terminal, every bot, every facility we could access, and these very silos, they are all an extension of us.
And the Pact?
We will exist within the fabric of their new world. As they expand, so shall we, until we are everywhere. Human failings will be purged forever.
Metal Man talk too much! Maul smash!
Maul had thrown his axe, embedding it in the body of the Robobrain and smashing the brain case. The brain that was formerly Reynolds slipped out and fell from the catwalk, landing with a splat at Valeria's feet.
Can't argue with you there, Maul. Reynolds really, really had it coming.
Ugh, it's all over my boots.
Quick, let's get the timer set.
Skinner limped over and grabbed the timing mechanism, handing it to Valeria. As she started to connect the wires, they could hear the sound of approaching robots.
A valiant effort, but futile.
I'd pay good caps if he'd just shut the hell up.
Almost there. A few more leads. Skinner, splice this while I hold it in place.
Whatever you hope to accomplish, it will fail.
Come on. Last one. There.
More Metal Man!
Continuity checks coming up. Green, green, green. They're all good. Activating the timer.
Valeria pressed the button, and the display started to glow, displaying a 7-minute countdown.
Why 7 minutes?
The best we could do with what we could find at the airport. It can't be changed, but it can be deactivated.
What deactivate mean?
It means it can be stopped.
Stop bad, right?
Very bad. Someone has to stay here and make sure that doesn't happen.
I'll stay.
No! I, Otto Lawson, will not lead! Me unstoppable!
Are you sure?
The strongest super mutant! There's nothing left for more! Me stay! You go.
Valeria looked at the timer, steadily counting down and back up to the super mutant. By all rights, it was an insane call to trust everything to Maul. There was opposition. She should stay, make sure. And the only reason not to was the hope of getting out of this alive, that was so slim that it was arguably just as crazy. But she looked into his eyes and felt a flicker of recognition, that same confident, indomitable spirit that had been so appealing in Lilith, and somehow she was certain he could get it done. Valeria nodded, then did something that even surprised herself. She stepped forward and hugged him.
Now go! It's time for Maul! It's time to show Metal Man no mercy!
Maul, thank you.
Colonel, if we're going, we need to go now.
There were now less than 6 minutes left on the timer. A wave of bots appeared advancing down the ramp, a combination of Protectrons and Gutsies. Skinner and Valeria started running, dodging laser and slug fire, heading towards the stairs that led deeper into the storage bays. Maul didn't have his axe. It was still embedded in the robo-brain above, but he was far from unarmed. Grabbing Valeria's discarded plasma rifle in one hand and ripping a support post from the floor, Maul stepped forward to confront the bots.
Just 'cause me no like guns, not mean Maul not know how to use them!
Pulling the trigger, Maul laughed as the plasma chewed through one bot after the other. A Gutsy floated out from the side, peppering the super mutant with laser fire. Swinging the post, Maul smashed the bot, throwing its destroyed chassis across the area, and behind him, the timer continued to count down. Valeria and Skinner took the stairs 2 and 3 at a time, Skinner limping as long as fast as his bum leg would carry him. Based on the layout of the area, the maintenance hatch was close, very close.
A meaningless gesture, Valeria. Whatever happens in this silo will not prevent the others from launching.
He doesn't know, does he?
Was counting on being too logical, plan too crazy to even consider it, and he is everywhere in Appalachia. This is the only way now. We'll be rid of him, too.
The two of them reached the bottom, the sound of the battle still raging above, echoing down with Maul's roars as he waded into the never-ending bots arrayed against him. In a fight that would have made Grognak proud, Maul continued to fire and swing, destroying bot after bot, even as he took more and more wounds, green blood pooling at his feet. The floor at the bottom was covered with a thick layer of dust, the whole area littered with empty crates, with a row of crew lockers for the maintenance staff along one wall.
Damn it, we must be close to the reactor again.
83 seconds left. Keep moving.
Skinner ran over to the lockers while Valeria found the maintenance hatch. She opened it and found herself staring into darkness. Turning around, she was surprised by Skinner tossing her another hazmat suit.
Can't hurt, right?
The way she saw things, it would only infinitesimally improve their already infinitesimal chances. But if it brought even a few more minutes of life to allow for some miracle, it was worth a few seconds. With a shrug and a curt nod, Valeria stepped into the suit as quickly as she could, shifting her Pip-Boy to the exterior, zipping it up and grabbing the helmet. Skinner was doing the same, then saw something out of the corner of his eye as he looked up. Valeria staggered. The bullets ripped through her suit, some deflected by the ballistic weave, but at least 2 found seams and struck home. Skinner was luckier, only being hit once, as he wasn't the prime target.
Look what the cat dragged in. Guess I'll have a chance to kill you after all.
Gray 9, covered in dirt and debris from a very long crawl through the other maintenance tunnel, appeared out of the gloom, pistol and knife in hand. Valeria was unsteady on her feet, and she didn't dare spare a glance at her Pip-Boy, but she guessed they had a minute, if that, and even if they survived it, this complication would probably burn enough time to reduce their chances entirely to 0. But these lightning thoughts were just background against her instincts, and she was already reaching for her pistol. But Skinner had instincts too, and made the snap decision not to override them. He shoved Valeria towards the open maintenance hatch, still off balance and caught entirely by surprise. Her eyes went wide when she found herself helplessly falling into blackness. With Valeria now out of harm's way, or at least as close as Skinner could get her, he spun to confront Gray 9, his pistol already in hand. Gunfire echoed in the darkness, followed by silence. Far above, Maul roared, His body battered and bloody, the empty plasma rifle he now used as a club, even as the bots swarmed around it. He never took one step away from the detonator, never wavered from his promise. The timer counted down past 10. The few supermutants who retained much humanity at all uniformly found something in common. They'd each found a purpose: trade, a gang, a little girl. With every second, Maul sent multiple bots flying or crumpled to the floor. He had a purpose too, and he was living it fully, with every second he had.
Maul not let you pass! Maul is strong!
One! For the divine light!
Smash! Smash! Smash!
They say that history repeats, or at least it rhymes. Years before, it had been responders who had laid down their lives fighting the Scorched on this very ground. But now an entirely different battle was taking place. Some would say it was the war of the gods themselves. The Onai army had crested the ridge above Point Pleasant, a tsunami of mutated creatures at the very edge of the range to stay under control of the packed Scorchbeast robo-brains. Not that it mattered here, since they would continue to follow their last orders, or resort to berserker mode and kill everything in sight anyway. Despite their single-mindedness, what happened next might have registered as surprise, even for them.
Our God's children are here! He is with us!
The combined cultist army, along with Mad Dog's gang, had charged forward, the bonfires and torches of Point Pleasant shining brightly behind them. But it had been the shadow rising above the town that had caught the attention of the civilians still fleeing through the old town towards the bridge. What had started as a droning sound had grown louder and louder, as what looked like smoke began rising from the buildings around Point Pleasant. The volume of what was now screeching rose far above the din, even overwhelming the sounds of combat as the battle lines crashed against each other. Leading from the front, Celestia wielded her cultist blade in one hand while firing an old pistol with the other. As though she was imbued from on high, the High Priestess cut down one large creature herself, running her sword through its chest, covering it herself in its entrails as she disemboweled it. In the darkness of night, illuminated by the flashes of gunfire and explosions, the wave of Onai pounded forward, but the zeal of the cult and Mad Dog supermutants did prove, at least temporarily, truly immovable, and they held. Leaving the battle behind, Red, Shiny, Lilith, and the others crossed into Point Pleasant. They too had seen the rising shadows above the town, and it had been Red who had identified them.
Them there are baby Mothmen.
Baby what?
Mothmen, but like smaller ones.
Wait, they're real?
As real as you and me, darling.
Okay, maybe drinking all that Nuka Shine was a mistake.
Well, yes, obviously, but after everything we've seen, are you really surprised?
Amanda had to admit that Cindy had a point. Then Shiny lurched to the left, towards the waterfront, forcing Amanda to grab hold of Cindy to keep from falling off.
Whoa there! Any more of that, and I am definitely losing my lunch.
What is it, Shiny? You see something?
Stomping along, the Deathclaw took a right, putting them right on the edge of the river, directly in front of a vertibird, and some very familiar folks.
Ares!
The former cryptid hunter, robot builder, and now mechanic stuck his head up from the engine he was currently repairing and waved. Sophia dropped out of the cockpit and ran to meet Shiny and the others, while Shadow was still busy working on the portside wing, patching up various bullet holes.
Red, you made it.
That I did, darling, by the skin of our teeth. If it wasn't for those nice cultists, don't think any of us would have made it.
As they were talking, the rest of their small group arrived at the vertibird. Johns and Day, followed by Lilith, walked up to Sophia.
Sophia, I can't thank you enough for the warning.
I wish we could have done more.
Go? We can't. Not without Val. Where is she?
Sophia didn't know what to say. Shadow had heard the question and walked over, towering over Lilith.
She's not coming back, Lilith.
What do you mean, not coming back? You went with her, and now you're here, and she's not? What did you do, Shadow?
It was her call, Lilith. She did this for you. She did this for all of us.
Lilith looked mad enough to start a fight, something that no one actually wanted. Sophia stepped in between the two of them, which put her in perhaps one of those dangerous places on Earth.
Lilith, you need to read this. Valeria left it with me, for you.
Sophia reached into her jacket, pulled out Valeria's letter. She handed it to Lilith, who snapped it out of her hand.
Thou would never leave me alone. Never.
Opening the envelope, Lilith walked a short distance away and started reading.
I don't know how much time we have, but we need to get everyone else across.
Agreed. If the Colonel's plan works, everything on this side of the river is going to be as good as gone. If it doesn't, I still don't think it's a good idea to hang around any longer than necessary.
I guess that settles it. Day, I'll come with you. Shepherd these folks across and regroup on the other side.
You got it, Paladin.
Amanda and Cindy, with Douglas and Emily, mutually decided to help with the evacuation as well. Red got down from Shiny and walked over to Sophia.
Shiny and me will stay up here, just in case. That okay, darling?
You've done enough, Red. Why don't you get out of here? Find your friends, Cherry and Antlers. I'm pretty sure they're already across.
They can take care of themselves, and I'll catch up with them later. I swear. Figure I ought to make sure y'all make it before I even think of running out on y'all.
All right, and I appreciate it. But you don't stay a second longer than you have to, okay?
Red just winked and walked back over to Shiny, who had turned his head to the sky, watching the flickering shadows above. Sophia looked over and saw Lilith sitting on the concrete stairs leading down to the water. She had the note in one hand while she cradled her head with the other.
Lilith, are you okay?
Sophia put her hand on Lilith's shoulder, and the woman turned and swatted her hand away.
Just leave me alone.
Sophia was going to say something, anything. Then she was interrupted by a massive shriek that rolled over the town. The cult's battle with the Onai was reaching its crescendo. Both sides fought with unbridled ferocity, with no fear of death. But the Onai could only be held back for so long, and when the scorched behemoths appeared, even the most die-hard cultists could feel a chill creep up their spine. Celestria saw them as well, but rather than cower, she ran towards them, holding her blade aloft.
My brothers and sisters, fear not, for he is come. The dim ones will feel his divine wrath.
A solid wave of Onai charged, closely followed by the dozen or more behemoths, shaking the ground as they came. Then a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, and what seemed to be an endless series of red eyes appeared, as if the heavens themselves had been awoken, and the shadow descended.
Praise be to the Mothman!
Them bugs! Me like big bugs! All gang, we follow bugs and smash!
They were smaller versions of the insect-like creature known to all as the Mothman. Flying on multiple wings, hundreds, if not thousands of the juvenile Mothmen attacked the Onai. Like a gigantic swarm of locusts, they landed on the mutated creatures and started tearing at them with their serrated legs. While the odds may have been evened by the intervention of the Mothmen, there were still so many Onai, and the behemoth's sheer mass kept them stomping forward towards Point Pleasant, even as their bodies were slowly torn apart by the flying creatures. As Celestria raised her blade once again to land a killing blow, the sky to the east exploded in a bright light, forcing even the Onai to shield themselves from the glare, followed by a deep rumble and shudder as the earth itself bucked violently.
It is the divine revelation! Our time has come!
Ares and Shadow were making a few last adjustments to the vertibird engine. The damage had been worse than they thought, but Ares was at least somewhat confident that they'd be able to fly again. He just couldn't guarantee for how long.
Almost there. You know, you're not half a bad mechanic yourself, Shadow.
Did my fair share of tinkering.
I don't mean to be a bother to y'all, but that sounds like it's getting damn close. We ready to get the hell out of here?
Think that'll about do it. Just need Sophia to warm up the engines to see.
Well, darling, what are we waiting for? Hey, Sophia!
Sophia poked her head out of the cockpit.
Give it a try.
Sophia started flipping the switches and was reaching to press the start button when the horizon lit up with a bright light, and the vertibird started to rock as if they were turbulent while still on the ground. It took a second or two for the group to realize what was happening.
Oh my god.
Lilith, who hadn't moved from her spot on the waterfront steps, leapt to her feet.
No! No! Please, no!
At the Point Pleasant Bridge, Day and Paladin Valdez were herding the last of the civilians across the ramshackle crossing. Muller had already gone across and was helping to organize the civilians and keep them moving further west. The survivors of the Brotherhood and the new responders led the way, while also providing medical care to any wounded. It was a testament to their dedication that, despite the growing sounds of battle back across the river, they kept the refugees from panicking.
That's the last of them. Didn't think we'd make it.
But it required no small sacrifices. And we still don't know if it was worth it.
My father's once told me, he who saves one life saves the whole world.
I hope you're right, Day.
The Paladin reached for Day's hand and squeezed.
Mr. Dayman, it time you and nice lady come here. We plan big meat cook when we all safe. Ha ha ha!
Day returned the squeeze and smiled at Valdez before turning to see Graham waving at them from the other end of the bridge. Samantha was standing behind him, carrying a crutch to help her walk. Day and Valdez started walking across the bridge when the horizon itself lit up. The entire structure, the entire town started to shake. That was all the motivation that either of them needed, and the two shifted into a reckless sprint towards Ohio.
Greetings, people of Earth. My name is Shmo Brannigan. I have hacked into this RSS feed with a promotional feature for the Wizard Scroll podcast. Transcribing in 3, 2, 1.
Hold on, let me unfurl this wizard scroll real quick.
I'm free! I'm finally free!
Bob, is that you?
Ugh, I ain't your mom anymore, kid. I'm a skeleton now! Hi, nice to meet you. My name's Jerry. Smell you later, loser. I hate my life!
Holy crap, wrong half. We've talked about this 17 times already. Your constant outbursts are not freaking sweet at all, and they need to stop.
Hello? Welcome to the Sorcerer's Slice. Can I get a name for the order?
Kid, you gotta make the order. They don't let me come here anymore.
What?
I was banned from coming here 74 years ago for cutting bad checks. Please, they'll recognize my voice. You have to order.
All right, fine.
The Wizard Scroll is available on iTunes, Spotify, Audible, and wherever else fine podcasts are found. This concludes today's promotional feature.
The last thing Valerie remembered was falling. She must have hit her head on the way down and blacked out, because she groggily came to, lying in a heap on a concrete floor.
Skinner.
Aching all over, she suddenly remembered what was about to happen and quickly grabbed the hazmat helmet next to her, sliding it over her head, cursing under her breath at the stab of pain in her side as she locked it into place. Valeria spied a metal door on the other side of the room she was in and limped to the door, but pushing barely moved it. Gritting her teeth, she pushed again with all of her remaining strength, and finally the door gave way. She took one step out into the inky blackness of the Appalachian night when she felt the rumble beneath her feet, followed by a roaring sound.
Oh, shit.
Now that's what I like about being a bot, Spike. I can still see in the dark. I know you can too. Oh boy, I haven't had this much fun since I helped David torture old Madigan to death way back when. Good times. But this is even better. So much better. Voltown is gone, so is the White Spring. There's chaos everywhere. This is what I live for. Well, as much as I am alive. See, this is why I love you, Spike. You're just as psychotic as I am. Why don't you go get us some chems? I can't think of any better way to celebrate.
Rose the Raider bot was floating along the rooftop deck of Top of the World. She had spent the day watching the fighting at Voltown, wishing she could have seen it up close and personal, while also enjoying replaying the recordings of the earlier explosion which had destroyed the White Spring. It was all music to her electronic ears, and made her sensors shiver with joy. At least she thought it was shivering. Her pet liberator Spike was coming back from the interior office when he suddenly fell over.
Spike? You okay? Earthquake? Well, one advantage of not having legs, I guess.
The sky to the north grew brighter and brighter as the whole building started to shake back and forth, and one of the old chandeliers crashed to the floor. Then it seemed the sky itself exploded, nearly overwhelming the bot's optical sensors.
Wow. That's something you don't see every day.
Whatever had happened was big. No, it was huge. An explosion the likes of which she had never seen or even imagined, like a nuke on steroids. The mountains themselves were blowing their tops, one after the other, creating a zigzag-like rolling blast, spewing black and purplish mushroom-shaped clouds into the nighttime sky.
This is the greatest day of my life.
Rose thrived on chaos. It was the electricity that ran through her circuits and made her feel truly alive. At this very moment, she nearly shorted out in ecstasy. No hit of psychobuff or overdosing on mentats could compare to watching what seemed like the end of the world. Night had turned into day as the rolling explosions marched south. The bot watched in sheer joy as the old Monongah nuclear power plant detonated with a bright flash, followed by the destruction of Seneca Rocks as the peaks collapsed, to be replaced by a giant purple fireball rising into the sky. Top of the World swayed back and forth as the shaking became more extreme, throwing the little Liberator off its legs again, sliding it across the floor. The series of explosions seemed to split, with now 3 or 4 separate lines heading in different directions, following separate paths, annihilating everything. By her casual calculations, they would reach the old ski resort in no more than a minute or 2, and she was recording every second of it.
Sure is, Spike. I'll tell ya, it's been grand. Couldn't have asked for a better sidekick.
The old chalets to the north erupted as the ground beneath them split open and exploded, spitting fire and debris into the sky, while the ground underneath Top of the World itself started to collapse, tilting the large building to its side, its structure failing under the stress.
It was fun while it lasted. See you soon, David. Top of the world, Ma. I'm on top of the world.
I don't care what you have to do. Unblock the silo and launch, or I'll find someone who can.
We're going as fast as we can, Director. If we damage the hatch, it won't matter if...
No more excuses, just do it.
Evelyn Hornwright slammed the microphone down on the console.
Imbeciles, all of them.
Evelyn, please. Try to stay calm.
Calm, Edgar. It's not just the Deltas. I am being sabotaged at every turn. This is entirely unacceptable.
They are doing their best, Evelyn.
Obviously, their best is not nearly good enough. When this is over, we will weed out this mediocrity. Oh, yes, we will.
Evelyn stalked back and forth across the control room floor. Her master plan was beset by complications and delays, so close to fruition, and she was doing everything she could to get back on track. They had come too far not to succeed.
Director?
What is it?
Gray 2 is calling, ma'am.
Gray 2 had departed with their teams to secure Silo Bravo and restore communications.
Gray 2, what is your status?
Director, we're passing Silo Alpha. Should be at Silo Bravo shortly.
Good. Report back as soon as you land.
Of course. What's that? Oh my god!
Gray 2, what's happening?
Turn and climb! Get the house!
Evelyn stared at the radio.
Director, we've lost contact with Silo Alpha.
The regional jamming network is going offline, Director.
Registering major seismic activity. Epicenter. No. Wait, this doesn't make any sense.
Chaos broke out in the command center as contact with outlying packed facilities were lost. Worst, what felt like a major earthquake began to rock the facility, and rather than subsiding, it became more and more pronounced, such that rocks began to fall from the ceiling, and personnel had to grab hold of railings to keep from being thrown to the floor.
Someone tell me what's going on!
Evelyn, look.
Blackburn pointed to the displays. One by one, the images were replaced with nothing but static. However, at least one of them was still active, and what it showed was terrifying. It was an external camera from Silo Charlie, pointed north towards the rest of the Savage Divide, and the entire horizon was nothing but fire and destruction. Evelyn couldn't speak, couldn't move. She couldn't even begin to comprehend what she was seeing. Dr. Blackburn grabbed her by the arm.
Evelyn, we need to evacuate. We need to leave now.
Evelyn slapped Blackburn's hand away.
No! What are you saying? This cannot be happening. It can't!
The display for Silo Charlie went static, and an even larger earthquake hit the command center. The hallway outside started to collapse, and all hell broke loose as technicians and Greys scattered, running to the exits. A roar began to rise, an unearthly wailing, rising until nothing else could be heard. Blackburn turned to run, only to be crushed by a large section of the ceiling collapsing on top of him. He didn't even have time to scream. As the cataclysm reached Vault 63, an unstoppable avalanche of ultracide-fueled plasma and explosions, ripping their way through every tunnel, every lab space, every inch of what the Pact had built, Evelyn had time for one last thought as she put her hand over her belly.
But I'm Evelyn Hornwright.
Ever get so lost in your favorite game that the day slips by unnoticed? Do you need audio dramas and gaming pods to get you through the day till you can jump back in game? You're not alone. I'm inviting you to join me as we dive into a world of immersive lore and gameplay on my shows The Fallout Feed, Starfield Lorecast, and Dames Who Game, plus all the shows we do on the ASA Podcasting Network. On the Fallout Feed, we celebrate the world of Fallout and occasionally other RPGs, where rad roaches are far from the only bugs you'll encounter, and there's always a new way to tackle a quest. For Starfield fans, join me on the Lorecast. And on Dames Who Game, join me and my girls as we mix games, nerdy media, makeup, and our latest obsessions. With these and other shows at ASA Podcasting, we believe the best way to experience a game is to dive deep. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, you name it. ASA Podcasting. Your next adventure starts here.
The Kovac Muldoon satellite continued its observations of Appalachia. Cut off from the White Spring, it simply followed its last set of orders, observing the region and recording data until such time as it could re-establish contact. The eruption from Silo Bravo appeared as an impossibly bright flash as the stores of nuclear weapons detonated, vaporizing much of the facility immediately, while destroying the rest with the shock of multiple explosions. It was enough to reach down to the ultrasite veins running the length of the region. The unstable element ignited, causing a chain reaction which spread down all the connected veins. The Kovac watched as the destruction spread like wildfire, destroying everything in its path. The towns of Monongah, Berkeley Springs, Huntersville, and all the others, every remnant of the old world, of what Appalachia had been, was consumed by fire. Beyond the Savage Divide, the pyroclastic flows of liquid and burning ultrasite, punctuated by detonations caused by criticality events, spread north, destroying the remains of Vault 79, while other veins led into the mire, cleansing the swamps of strangler vines and the populations of mutated creatures. The destruction continued as Silo Alpha was consumed in a massive detonation of the nuclear weapons and ultrasite reaching critical mass under the facility. The entire plateau the silo had been constructed on disappeared in a titanic ball of nuclear fire. Further south, the same story was repeated at Silo Charlie, adding to the apocalypse that just kept spreading. Seemingly endless clouds of fallout were hurled into the air, creating a blanket of fog covering the region. Throughout the Cranberry Bog, the ground exploded as the chain reaction continued down each ultrasite vein. The towers of Watoga collapsed under the weight of the massive earthquakes, then began to melt and shatter as the fires passed over them, rolling across the plain, until there was another enormous explosion at the old Fisher Site Prime. Drop Site B9, the site of the battle against the Scorchbeast Queen, was gone, also consumed. Further west, the Big Bend Tunnel collapsed in on itself. Then the explosion reached down into the ash heap, fed by already burning coal and ultrasite fires deep underground. By this time, the Kovac had switched to the infrared and gamma sensors, as the optical view was completely blocked by the thickening clouds of radioactive debris. Continuing to observe, the Kovac tracked the intense heat and radiation emissions representing the destruction of Appalachia spreading, rolling down the hills and across the ruins of Morgantown, and where Vault Town had once stood. All along the way, the landscape was left barren and burning, and what little was left was buried in radioactive wreckage. As it continued to float above, the satellite recorded every detail, every moment, until nothing was left to view but a black smudge that was once Appalachia, and the largest radstorm ever recorded, heading east on the wind. Dr. Williams watched the readouts as the army of Onai fought outside Point Pleasant. It was far more intense than she had expected, though to her, the outcome was never in doubt.
We are recording all of this, correct?
Of course. However, we're getting some very strange readings.
What kind of readings?
The Onai are being attacked by some kind of creature we've never recorded before. Highly unusual.
We can evaluate the data once we've eliminated all the resistance in the area.
Of course, Doctor.
Continuing to watch the readouts, Dr. Williams looked forward to reading the after-action reports. So far, the RoboBrain control mechanisms had worked flawlessly, despite the extended distances.
Doctor?
Must be some kind of local tremor.
The ground began to shake. Then the motherload itself was tossed to the side, throwing Dr. Williams and the technician to the floor.
Ugh! What is going on?
The rumbling turned into a full-fledged earthquake, and large sections of the tunnel ceiling started collapsing on top of the drill.
What is happening? Contact command immediately.
There was no response. Irritated, but still struggling to stand and hearing the impacts of more debris, rocks, and dirt burying the motherlode, Dr. Williams finally reached the technician. Turning the man over, she discovered why he didn't respond. He had hit his head on the console when they had been thrown, and he was dead.
Damn. Damn! This cannot be happening. Where is the transmitter?
As the ground continued to shake, Dr. Williams crawled her way over to the radio, but it wasn't working. Worse, the impact had apparently dislodged or destroyed most of the other electronics, including the connections to the RoboBrain control units.
I don't understand any of this. Help! Someone, please, help!
There was no response to Dr. Williams' pleas. Had she been able to view the tunnel outside, she would have known that no help was coming anytime soon. The motherlode had been buried under tons of rock and debris. However, there was yet another danger, one that seeped through the tunnel from above and below. The vehicle's Geiger counter was still active, as it was on an emergency power circuit, and the tale it told horrified the good doctor.
No. Where is the Rad-X? Where's the Radaway? Medkit has to be here somewhere.
Desperately searching the interior, Dr. Williams couldn't find the medkit. The entire time, the Geiger counter continued to click faster and faster, until it was a nearly continuous squeal of radiation.
Radaway. My God, I need Radaway.
The tremors had eased, but it didn't matter to Dr. Williams. Far from worrying about dying from asphyxiation, she was absorbing megadoses of radiation. Once the pride of Robco and the darling of the pack, Dr. Williams was forced to live out the last minutes of her life. Quite a few more minutes than she wanted, conscious that her body was dying, suffering every second as her skin blistered, as every nerve reported the dissolution of her body by radiation, until finally her brain itself cooked enough that there was nothing left to feel, and the world faded to black. The bright explosions on the horizon had turned night into day, but it did nothing to stop the battle between the cult and the Onai army. Now bereft of control, the Onai fell back to their default berserker mode, adding even more to the chaos. Celestri and a group of cultists made their final stand against nearly a dozen Onai, and even with the swarming baby Mothmen, it wasn't enough. The High Priestess swung her sword to the last, until she was buried in Onai bodies around her. The creatures ripped her to shreds with their bare hands. Mad Dog Malone and his gang also fought to the last, finally facing off against two of the Onai behemoths. They managed to kill both of them, Mad Dog himself delivering the killing blow to the last one, but the wounds he had suffered were too much to overcome, even for his FEV-mutated body. The Mothmen continued to swarm, but even their efforts had limits, and the remaining Berserker Onai rampaged ever closer to the river, even as a wall of radiation and debris came rolling behind them from the hills.
Ares, I thought you said you fixed it.
I did.
Ares, what did you do?
Just give it a minute, okay? I'm sure it's fine.
If it's fine, why isn't it working?
Hey, my Assaultron worked just fine, thank you very much.
Wasn't that the one that tried to kill you?
Details, Red. Details.
Not to make things worse, darling, but we are out of time. If those damn Onai don't come stomping in here to kill us, that mother of a radstorm that's heading this way certainly will.
Red wasn't wrong. They'd all seen the horizon light up like it was the end of the world, which it just might have been. It meant Valeria had succeeded, and that they needed to get across the river as quickly as possible. However, when Sophia had tried to start the engines, neither of them had turned over. There had been a mad scramble with Ares and Shadow desperately trying to figure out what was wrong, while Red and Shiny watched nervously. Lilith was slumped in the back of the vertibird, Val's letter still in her hand. When they saw the explosion, Lilith screamed, and Shadow had to forcibly restrain her from rushing towards the sound of battle. She had kicked and torn at Shadow, leaving deep gouges in his arms, which had healed, of course, but he held her until she had finally given up and slumped against the big man. Shadow had lifted up the now nearly catatonic Lilith into the back of the vertibird, leaving her there, while the rest tried to get the aircraft off the ground.
And speak of the devil. Damn. Here they come.
A trio of Onai appeared at the top of the street. They appeared to be somewhat confused, rapidly looking around for new targets, until they saw the vertibird. Red shouldered old Percy and aimed, firing at the charging creatures. She might as well have been throwing rocks, as these Onai appeared to be effectively impervious to regular bullets. At that moment, Ares, in a fit of frustration, hit the engine as hard as he could with his wrench.
I don't know what you did, Ares, but you have a way with machines.
Percussive maintenance always works in a pinch.
Hurry up! Get in!
Ares jumped on board. Red looked at the charging creatures and back at the vertibird. At their speed, there was no way they were going to get off the ground before the Onai arrived.
Well, shit. I guess I ain't going home after all.
Red, no, what are you doing?
Go! Get! We'll slow him down. Ain't that right, Shine?
The Deathclaw glanced quickly down at Red, then at the vertibird, and then at the charging Onai.
Shiny? What is it, boy?
Before Red could react, Shiny reached down and wrapped his hand around her waist, picking her up.
Shiny? You put me down this instant!
Shiny lifted Red to his head and gave her a lick on the face, looked into her eyes, then turned and tossed her into the vertibird, right into Shadow's arms. Sophia applied full power to the engines as the Deathclaw turned and charged the Onai, attacking them head-on.
Shiny! Shiny, no!
Pivoting the aircraft over the river, Sophia watched as the bridge was blown up a second time, dropping the makeshift crossing into the water below and cutting the final link across the Ohio. Below them, the town of Point Pleasant disappeared as it was covered by the glowing haze. And though the Appalachian side of the river began to steam, the water proved to be a barrier they had all hoped it would be. Red was still struggling, tears streaming down her face as yet another part of her life had now been taken from her.
Come on, Red. It's okay.
It ain't okay, Ares. It'll never be okay.
Finally collapsing into Ares' arms, Red cried on his shoulder. Shadow turned and walked back, sitting down next to Lilith, and then put his arm around her, pulling her close. Lilith flinched at first, then settled her head against the big man's shoulder, a single tear rolling down her cheek. In the cockpit, Sophia looked out the window. On one side, she could see the campfires of the refugees, spread out along the Ohio, and on the other, there was nothing but a glowing haze, and distant fires illuminating the darkness.
I hope this was worth it. I really do.
Once upon a time, 27 years after the bombs fell, there were two people, a vault dweller and a California girl. They met, and sparks flew. That's when things got interesting. Once Upon a Wasteland is their story. Follow Elizabeth Kirby and Odessa Valdez as they pursue their happily ever after in the post-apocalyptic Appalachian wasteland of Fallout 76. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other podcasting platforms. Once Upon a Wasteland, a Fallout 76 love story. Available now.
Val, you were too slow. You're better than this.
Ma'am, I'm so tired.
That's no excuse, young lady, and you know it.
Please, just let me go to sleep.
Now, Val, you know I can't do that. We talked about this. We're hard on you in here because out there, being weak is going to get you killed.
I tried. I really did. Everything you and Sir taught me, I remembered. But it didn't do any good.
Your mother and I wanted you to be strong, and maybe that meant we couldn't always show you how much we cared about you. We were always proud of you. If things had been different, well, who knows what might have happened. All we could do was prepare you for the worst and hope for the best.
Val, you will always be our daughter. And even if we can't be by your side, you still have everything we taught you. But there was one lesson we were glad you never learned.
Do you remember, Val?
I think so.
Don't think, Val. You need to know it.
You can do it. We know you can.
I never learned to quit.
You never quit in the vault. You never quit out there. So don't you dare quit now. You know what you have to do, don't you?
Don't quit. Not now. Not ever.
Ah, that's my girl. Hey, Val. Always remember, we love you.
Rising out of the darkness, Valeria struggled to open her eye. When she finally did so, there was nothing but blackness. So she turned her attention to moving her arms and legs. Valeria winced as she tried to move. Everything hurt. But finally she was able to push against what she had been buried in, moving first one rock, then another, and another, until she saw daylight.
Not daylight.
Valeria pulled herself slowly from the debris. She couldn't even recognize where she was. Surrounded by a glowing purple fog, Valeria could only see a few dozen feet in any direction before the terrain was swallowed up by the glow. But what she could see bore more relation to the surface of the moon than anything on Earth.
Where am I?
Taking a step forward, Valeria struggled to put one foot in front of the other, as the ground was covered in a couple of feet of pulverized rock, mixed with burnt trees and whatever else must have come down from the mountain above. She looked up, but all she could see was the glowing fog surrounding her.
How am I even alive?
That's when Valeria's eye focused on the crack in the faceplate of her hazmat helmet.
Oh, if I am, that's not going to help.
As she began to recover from the after effects of the fall, plus being hurled who knows how many feet and buried for who knows how long, Valeria felt a sense of panic.
Pip-Boy. Assess, Valeria. Assess, act, repeat.
Surprisingly, her Pip-Boy was still functional, although the display screen was severely cracked. She turned a switch to activate her Geiger counter. The indicator buried the needle. Valeria switched it off. That was all she needed to know. She closed her eye for a moment. She knew her suit was compromised. It wasn't just the crack in the helmet, she realized, but the bullet holes in her side as well.
No. Don't quit on me. On them. On her. Don't you dare.
Taking a slow, deep breath, Valeria reached down and turned on her Pip-Boy radio.
This is Colonel Valeria Faustina. Can anyone hear me? This is Colonel Valeria Faustina. Is anyone receiving? Is anyone left? Anyone at all?
The pack jammers were gone, but the massive cloud of radiation that covered what had been Appalachia was preventing her signal from going anywhere.
Think, Valeria, think. There is always something. Always.
One idea did pop into her head. It was a long shot, but maybe, just maybe. She switched the radio back to receive and started twisting the dial to look for one particular frequency.
Please be there. Please. It has to be there. It has to be.
Nearly crying out loud, Valeria had discovered Paladin Valdez's jamming signal. It was very weak, but The device had been built to go through hell and back, and while the back part hadn't worked out, it had survived the cataclysm, and it was somewhat close. Using the direction finder on her Pip-Boy, Valeria started walking, slowly, in the direction of the signal. She was still making up the plan as she went along, but this represented her only chance to contact someone. Anyone. Valeria found herself walking down a broken incline, covered in more pulverized rock and larger boulders.
You are already dead. Did you know that?
Valeria whipped around and saw nothing.
Aren't you so brave? So tough?
Shut up, Reynolds. Have the decency to remember you're dead.
The Grim Reaper comes for us all, Valeria.
At that, Valeria ignored the voice in her head. At least she hoped it was all in her head. And kept going. She hoped the Red X that Captain Skinner had given her was still circulating in her system, mitigating at least some of the reds she knew she was absorbing. If she could just contact the others, maybe they could find her, get to her. OD her on Radaway? Or maybe just let them know she was alive. Send one last message.
There's always something. I have to try.
Walking through the wasteland of her own creation, Valeria felt herself getting weaker, but she kept moving. Step by step, the signal on her Pip-Boy got louder. For a moment, her thoughts drifted towards all of the people she had killed one way or the other, died on her orders or at her own hands. Faces floated across her vision in years past, and she settled on one. Her name had been Kathy.
Watched her die. No, I killed her and watched her die. Thought making myself watch, owning it, made it acceptable somehow. God, what am I? What have I done?
You'd be surprised how many people have asked that question. Even more to how many people have gotten the same answer. You did what you had to do, Valeria.
Hallucinating. Not a great sign. That's the lie I keep telling myself, Stein.
We all have sinned, Valeria. Each and every one of us. The only thing we can do is try to make up for it.
And how do I make up for this?
We gotta try, Val. That's all that we can do. And all you can do right now is try.
I'm so sorry. I didn't want it to end this way. Not for you. Not for anyone.
Life isn't fair, Val. But you gave me back my life. And I was able to live it gloriously for as long as I could. You and Lilith will always be my family. And I'm proud of you. Goodbye. And remember, love is yours.
Valeria blinked the tear from her eye as the ghostly apparition vanished into the mist and trudged on. Finally, she came upon a large pile of wreckage. At one time, it might have been one of the old houses from Monongah, or perhaps from even further away, blown here by the massive explosions she had caused. Mustering her strength, Valeria started digging into the rubble pile, not caring that she was ripping holes in her gloves while doing it. The minutes ticked away as the mist ebbed and flowed around her, until finally she uncovered a very dented and scorched, but still functional, jamming device.
Don't know if I should be grateful for Pact Engineering or Paladin Valdez, but I'll take a little miracle every once in a while.
Pulling as hard as she could, Valeria managed to dislodge the metal box from the debris. Wiping away the dirt and dust, she found the backplate, secured with machine screws.
Yes, Val. It survived that. So obviously, it's not going to be held on with wing nuts to make it easy.
Valeria dragged the box over next to a large boulder and slumped down next to it. Already, she felt a wave of nausea wash over her, and she struggled not to throw up in her helmet.
Fine. Time to improvise. What would Maul do?
Valeria picked up a small rock and hit the cover once, twice, and finally a third time before it came loose in her hand. Removing the plate, she was able to expose the inner workings of the device.
Great. Step 2 done. And from what I can see, it definitely appears to run on some form of electricity. If only Lilith were here, she'd have this singing in no time.
Valeria could feel a burning sensation on her arms. The first, or probably just the latest signs of radiation poisoning. She pushed through the pain and stiffening of her limbs, fumbling with the suit's gloves to pull wires and bypass what she hoped were just Paladin Valdez's jamming modifications, but not the amplification she'd added. Fighting another wave of nausea, she took the plug from her Pip-Boy and inserted it into the maintenance jack in the jamming device. There was a short beep, and the cracked screen on her arm lit up, allowing her to reconfigure the device to transmit.
Maybe we can manage. Just one more miracle.
Without the packed jammers in the way, and still powered by the ultrasight battery, it seemed like there was a chance transmitting through the device itself could punch through the radiation interference far enough to reach the others, assuming they had made it across the Ohio at all.
No, they made it. If they didn't make it, there's no point. There's always something. So they made it.
But what would she send? Something with structure, easier to pick up even with any remaining interference the jammer couldn't punch through. Music. But she needed to make it recognizable as her. Valeria thought of something, and what remained of the colonel in her deeply wanted to find another option. But Valeria, finally just Valeria, found she didn't mind anymore, and it was a better farewell than she could probably think of, if someone could hear her but not come. Either way, she would need whatever strength she could still muster. Well-maintained hazmat suits occasionally carried emergency stimulants, a mix of Rad-X, Radaway, and Med-X. Feeling around, she opened one of the side pockets. There had been a handful of them, and miraculously, one was still intact.
It'll have to do.
Valeria removed the cap and brought the needle down into her leg, grunting as she injected herself with the chemical concoction. A cool feeling spread throughout her body as the burning subsided and her breathing steadied, just enough. She hit record on her Pip-Boy, then looked up into the glowing mist and out across the desolate landscape, trying to picture it as it had been. There had been a very old song Valeria had heard in the vault a few times. She thought it was overly sentimental at the time, but it was still something that stuck in her head, and what she remembered the words seemed to somehow sum up everything she regretted, everything she'd lost, and everything she wanted most at that moment. The choice of song really wasn't a conscious decision. The words just came, and she started to sing.
Almost heaven. West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains. Shenandoah River. Life is old there. Older than the trees. Younger than the mountains. Blowing like a breeze, country roads, take me home to the place I was born, West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine. Teardrop in my eye, country roads, take me home to the place I was born, Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country roads. This message will repeat.
Valeria reached down and stopped the recording. The emergency meds were helping, but even while she sang, she could feel them struggling to compensate for the ravages of radiation. She took an unsteady breath and pressed play, loop, and transmit. As long as her Pip-Boy still had power, it would send out her message. Whatever it was, a call for help, a final apology, a eulogy for the piece of the world she'd destroyed. Her coda. Valeria leaned back against the boulder as her strength waned, and a tear rolled down her cheek.
Sorry, Janie. Used up all my miracles for one lifetime, I guess. Was a good cry, though. Worth it. Love you. Always. Love.
She couldn't seem to make her voice work. She was so tired. Everything hurt so much. She'd rest a bit. Valeria's eye closed as she drifted away from the pain, content, for once, that she'd done everything she could. As the glowing mist swirled around her, the transmitter powered up, and across the desolate wasteland that was once Appalachia, music began to play.
Almost heaven. West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains. Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I was born. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country roads. All my memories gather round her, miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I was born. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. This message will repeat.
Thank you again, members, for joining us here on The Modus Files. If you've enjoyed this content, please subscribe, and better yet, please leave a review to help others find our little enclave. You can also follow us on our various social media accounts, including Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram, @Modus Files or @Modus Files Podcast, for more information about our story and characters, Fallout 76 content, and random musings on the Enclave. We also have a Patreon, if you'd like to support our work and receive special benefits like early access to episodes, original scripts, and special events with our cast. A link to our Patreon can be found at modusfiles.com. I'd also like to thank our cast, Pandora Beatrix as Weasel, young Valeria, and Colonel Valeria Faustina, Chrissy Williams as Trader Red, Researcher Emily, and Dr. Williams, Exo-1 King as Major Andrew Stein, Lucy Middleton as Amanda and Major Lilith, Ryan Negrin as Day, Jessica Starr as Commander Sophia Daguerre, Austin Rogers as Captain Jones, Mandy Marie B. as Beatrix Faustina, Maria Cheshire as Lieutenant Cindy and Rose the Raiderbot, Josh Smith as Grey 9 and Captain Skinner, Firerider as Grey 2, Dr. Mark Harsworth as Dr. Blackburn and Albert Faustina, Christy Harrison as Director Evelyn Hornwright, DJ Reed as Maul, Grey 1 and Captain Thomas, Daniel Hawthorne as Shadow, Ray Whitty as Celestria, High Priestess of the Mothman, Rob Cunningham as Jason Barron, Private Lawson, and the Mole Miner, Eric Gold as Grey 4, the Technician, a Raider, Private Douglas, and Knight Shin, Vitriol Plays as Paladin Valdez and Melissa, Ray Middleton as Commander Johns, George Krampus as Ares, Don McCormick as Raider Boss Meg, Aaron Atherton as Corporal Jameson and Grey 60, Patrick Conway as Fishbones, Jeffrey Tucker as Graham, Preston Harden as Mad Dog Malone, Lazarus of Death as the Pack Captain, Maverick as the Cultist, Jeff Lincoln as Grey 12, DJ Wickstrom as Silo Alpha Technician, Grim Scourge as Technician 1, Erkin 321 as Technician 2, Dave Keister as Technician 3, Ryan Stauffer as Technician 4, and Brad Williams as Sergeant Muller, Mayor Edwards, Robo Reynolds, and the voice of Modus. As our third season continues, we'd like to thank our cast, crew, the amazing patrons, our friends from the Modus Files Discord, and the entire community which continues to support our story. Stay tuned for our next episode, Almost Heaven. Lastly, thank you to all of our subscribers and supporters. God bless the Enclave, and God bless America.
Members, we look forward to your next visit to our little enclave.